Welcome, everybody, to Real Talk 1111. This is Ken, your altogether well known podcast for personal development, health, wellness, addiction, and recovery. Today's guest is returning champion, um, Bink Freeland. It's my dude, my dog. We're just going to get on here and talk about some step work, uh, AA versus NA, and just generally, you know, what's happening in life. Uh, got some updates for you, what's been going on. Um, Nothing real out of the ordinary, but just keeping it together. We're getting ready to go into this holiday season. Um, it's a good time to get out a good message, I think, and to try and stay clean and sober. I know the voice has been talking in my head, and but we'll just get with it, man. Bink, thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me back on, buddy. I want to say congratulations with the success with the podcast.
Yeah.
I've been following it, watching it. Got some really good guests on here, some really good conversation. Uh, yeah, you know, a lot's changed since last time I was on here, though.
Yeah.
This short period of time, I have been going into 11 months totally clean and sober off everything.
Nice. This is where you clap. This is where you
Right?
clap. 11 months, huh?
Yeah, 11 months.
That's almost Moonbow. That's almost a year.
Yeah, that's and I'll tell you what, and I was thinking about this on the way over here. That uh like I'm getting up on that year mark, and that's something I'm looking really forward to. I feel
Yeah.
like I've worked really hard. This is something I'm really wonder what's gonna be like. Wonder what kind of magical things gonna come out of the sky
Yeah.
that when I hit that year. But it's going kind of slow these past, and I think it's going to just because I'm looking to that kind of like how a kid looks wait for Christmas morning.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it's a good feeling. I can't put a price tag. It's you and so many other people, great friends I've made in here. And just trying to help the next guy stay clean and sober. And for a lot of folks, this looks like a boring lane. What's so fun about going and hanging out with a bunch of other addicts? I do it 2 and 3 times a day. Uh, but it's a feeling that I don't know if it's my higher power, but just such a great feeling. I couldn't be happy. It's not perfect, but
Man, I
perfect
can't.
enough for me, man.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you.
I
What?
had to think for a
What's your
lot.
date? What's your date?
I quit smoking weed February 8th of this year.
Okay. So that's your absolute
Absolutely,
total
totally
clean date. Yeah.
clean. And then I quit doing meth last August,
Okay.
and then I quit drinking August of 14.
Wow. Okay. See, yeah, man, that 1 year, that means you've been through all the holidays, all the
Yeah,
seasons.
this will be my first Christmas.
Oh, okay, yeah. Um,
It's still
and
Christmas.
a lot of things can happen after a year. They say if you can keep a plant alive, you can have a relationship. You can you can do a lot of things after a year clean, bud. And that's huge. That's huge. Even normal people can't say that they haven't drank for a year, or smoked weed or
Right.
something. But I wanted to touch on something you said, about this being lame and boring and going and hanging out with a bunch of drug addicts and stuff a couple times a day. We did that when we were using.
Just a bunch
we
of people that nobody except for us.
but yeah. So now we're doing it and giving back.
And that's another thing I like giving back. I like service work is a big thing for me. I try to do do everything anytime. If I have time to do it, I participate in both programs as much as I can. I do work and I have a full-time job, but which I work for myself, so I'm kind of flexible, like with the meeting stuff, which is I'm very blessed being able to do that.
Yeah.
But
You say both programs, you mean
yeah, both fellowships,
AA
AA and
and NA. And so you've also taken a service position in both
Yeah.
programs.
Well, I did. I'm the secretary of an AA meeting,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. You know, that's a little bit of prestige for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I'm working on getting one in NA. But like I said, it's not even about. I like to be able to help it. It's not like, oh, yeah, Mr. Secretary, or I'm GSR, or whatever. I want to give something back to this what's given.
Yeah.
I mean, and that might sound kind of cheesy, but I am so serious about this. And just like I said, it's so good.
It's not cheesy at all. Anybody who has any amount of days put together gives back in some sort of way. And because I remember last time we talked, you were you were kind of skirting around the issue of being a leader in this, and since we've talked, you've really taken a hold of that and taken some positions in leading the groups and stuff. When you say become secretary, what's that mean? What duties do you have?
Well, just opening up the meeting, getting the
Mhm.
coffee going, handing out at the beginning, you have the thing, all the different things you read, handing that stuff out, pointing somebody to chair, and then taking care of the donations and I'm responsible for buying coins, literature,
Yeah.
just kind of keeping it together. But there's kind of it's not a lot, but it's a task. It's something I'm proud to do it.
At the beginning of the meeting, anytime during the readings and stuff, it says that these meetings are a matter of life and death.
To some folks, they are.
And so when you say it's no big deal opening a meeting and stuff, it's a matter of life and death, brother. You're helping. Yeah, I mean that's cool. That's cool. I personally just stepped down from a couple service positions. Still involved. People, still calling me all the time, and I just kind of stepped down for a minute, and that's how it works. Is people move up and move on, and that's just how it works. I wanted to tell you that the reason I called you returning champion is because you're my highest viewed podcast. So you're one of the reasons this podcast is so successful. We're coming up on 10,000 views. Um, and your particular episode has almost 60 hours watched. What do you think about that, man?
It's really cool.
That's like,
Personally, I watched it after we did it. And,
yeah.
I'm just so busy all the time, and I've watched all your other ones. But I've had a lot of people come up to me
Yeah.
and be like, "Hey, man, I saw boy, you're famous now." But I tell you what makes me blush, makes me feel good.
Yeah, man. It makes me blush for you. It's it's so cool, man. I mean, you think about it, 60 hours, that's a week and a half of a full-time job. You're spreading the message. And that's the purpose. That's the purpose of the programs that we're in and the stuff that we're doing, the giving back. You're giving back when you don't even realize you're giving back. It's
Yeah,
cool. It's kind of cool.
yeah. I've had I have people come up to me sometimes and will say stuff like that to me. I guess I'm not good at taking compliments or whatever. But like I can't sit and I'm not let my head get big or anything about it. This
Mhm.
because this is very serious and it's kind of like walking a tightrope, doing this clean and sober thing. It is. It's walking a tightrope. One wrong move and you're right back on your ass again. And I'm sick of falling on my ass. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah.
It's so you gotta fall on your ass so hard, so many damn times before you finally figure it out. I think I might have said that on the last podcast.
Yeah.
Uh, like
That rock bottom
yeah,
is different for everybody, but once you hit it, it's a serious thing. One thing we've also been talking about is the steps and working the steps and working an honest program, doing the steps honestly. Um, I think you said you're on step 5 in the AA program, which they're very, very similar. And I'm not so familiar with the AA program, but what what is step 5?
It's where you sit down with another individual
Mhm.
and admit everything that you did. Much.
Okay. You admit the exact nature of your wrongs. Okay. And so we had talked about doing that on here, but it's a lot. I think that maybe, so I'm in the process of working step 4, honestly, this go around with answering all the questions. And there's um 80 in step 4, there's 85 questions,
Oh,
man.
because
And
that's
so,
step 4 in AA. It's that you make a inventory
yep,
of how it was, or yeah, how it was, what you did, and how it is now. Pretty
yeah,
much. And that can I honestly think the steps, and it said it. I think it says it. If I'm not positive, quote, but you don't have to work these steps. One, it's not like a game of Super Mario Brothers where you go 1 through 8. You're
hmm,
done. Solve it. I think these steps are tools that you use to cope with addiction. Cope with this and be able to. Because it's tough, man.
yeah,
It's so tough.
yeah,
I mean, the numbers are not in our favor for going back out. They're not. And like since I've been in there, I've seen so many people come and go, come
mhm.
back, come back, and it's it's so back to what I was saying. Sorry, I jump around a lot. I'm kind of nervous and
No, man,
scatterbrained
no,
at the
man,
same
do it.
time, but like I was saying in the meeting the other day, and I think I think like the 4 step. That's something that you're gonna do all until the day you take your last breath. There's just like in the 9th step where you apologize to people for stuff that we did. I to this day do that. I probably do that step more than I do any step.
Yeah,
From all all the
yeah.
bad shit I pulled. Uh,
The steps, yeah, this way, it becomes a way of life. It doesn't end. You don't hit the finish line. Uh, and so, but the steps are in order for a reason. But once you work them, then you rework them and you rework them. And then you practice these principles in all of your affairs once you get them down. But I am a firm believer that every human being is addicted to something. That that's what it means to be human. Um, we do things for the chemical releases in our body. We do things to feel good. It's what gets us out of bed. It's what separates us from animals.
we always want to be satisfied.
Yeah, yeah, but never are.
No, that's right.
But we try to be. And people out there say, "Well, I'm not addicted." Well, you drive a car, and that has long-term negative effects. The gasoline that you drive, the emissions, it has long-term negative effects. You eat sugar. Um, we all do things that are addictive and that have long-term negative consequences. And so I personally think that these steps, and I've been working for it and working towards it in the alternative school that I um, that I teach at, and I think that the 12 steps should be a class in high school.
I've heard you say that.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. You're never asked. You're. I'll give you an example of a question in step 4. Step 4 goes over a section that is called fear. Um, and it talks about the disease of addiction stripping um, us of our capacity to get past fear, and it talks about self-centered fear. But one of the questions is, who or what do I fear? And I've never been asked. you know, have you? You know,
Um, I fear a lot.
yeah,
I think everybody's afraid of something.
right,
Um, I try and put myself in situations to where I'm going to be afraid, but you know, I'll tell you what. One of my biggest fears probably one of the scariest things I ever experienced in my life. What made me afraid was when I was coming off booze and I went through delirium trips and heard things, and that was so scary. I can't even really describe it how scary it was. Anybody who's ever experienced that knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is no joke. And the fear, like like alcohol was pretty much my DOC. That's what That's those my DOC.
Hmm.
And I remember before I stopped, the fear of what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna have no booze. I'm gonna have these, and that feeling of being sick. I'd say it's pretty close to the same sickness of coming off opiates. I'm not really sure on that. I never got wrapped up in opiates, but
Well,
those
you're supposed to medically come
right,
off.
yeah,
You can
and I
die
did.
from
Yeah,
this shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that doctor told me too after I went to Talbot Hall
Mhm.
after that to totally knock it off.
What's Talbot Hall?
It's a 3-day program. It's at a hospital. You go in and they just slam you with AA meetings all day long, and they medicated me. And I stayed 5 weeks. I went in 3. I was very serious when I went. I was done. I
Mm.
was so done. I was sick of living that way. I'm not even gonna get into all that because that's a whole other podcast in itself. But uh, so I went in, I did the 3 days, and I was, at that time, like they had me motivated and everything. I was like, you know what, I'm afraid to go home, and they let me stay 2 extra days. So I ended up staying 5.
Mhm.
And when I left that program, I didn't even go home and take a shower. I went straight to a meeting, and I did it. I did it good for about I don't know, it's about 6 or 7 months. I did the
Straight.
program. Yeah, that was 10 years ago. But then for a lot of I quit going and I fell off. I didn't start drinking. I haven't drank since, but then I picked up, I think we talked about that in the other podcast too.
Hmm.
I picked up the drugs and I was off to the races with that. So here I am. What was the question in the first
No,
place?
that was it. Like who or what do you fear? And you covered a lot of it by
This fear picking back up, man.
okay.
Just ugliness and the shittiness of all of it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I could think of some fun time, and I've been, I think any addict, we miss getting fucked up. I miss drinking, I miss that feeling and everything, but I, I still get reminded of the dark. There's a lot of you are really wrapped up in with drugs or whatever, and it's ruling your life. There's dark spots. You go into I don't at least I did really really dark places.
I think most people
That
could
I
could
no
agree with that.
desire to even try and return to. And I feel sorry for people. It makes me feel really bad. I have a lot of sympathy for people who are still stuck like that. Just
Yeah.
haven't figured it out yet. Because you either going to figure it out or you're going to die.
Yep. Yeah. Or somebody's gonna try and figure it out for you, and
Right.
then that's a horrible place to be too.
Yep.
It's a horrible place to be.
Usually people who care about you the most, they can try to can't jam it down anybody's throat. But like a lot of us, I'm one of them. I got in trouble, and it was either stop doing what you're doing or you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Plain out. So
I tell you, when I first got clean, I didn't get in trouble. I chose to go, and you have you and Tony specifically have really changed my mind on people who didn't decide for themselves. They they were kicking and screaming and made to go, or jail was the only other option. And I didn't really believe that people could get it, being forced to do it. But you and Tony have really changed my mind about that, man. Like,
I remember when that first month, because I when I first got in trouble and stopped, uh, I got in trouble in August. I didn't start coming to the room, so I went 3 months just doing,
mhm.
white knuckling it with nothing, no meetings or anything. And I remember just how, I'm like, man, I'm never gonna be able to. But after I came into the rooms and started getting some of the, taking it in and actually participating and going because I wanted to be there, gets better, and it does, but it's definitely not. It's kind of like falling in love, man. Like having a broken heart. You know, it's not going to mend itself overnight. It's something that you definitely have to work on. But if you do work on it, like I said, the rewards are unexplained.
So a little bit about working on it. Um, there's steps, man, and this disease has a guide.
Yeah.
You know, it has detailed instructions on what to do to cure it. And they're the steps. And so step one is admitting you're powerless over your addiction, and your life had become unmanageable. Admitting it was hard for me, man. I did not want to admit that it was unmanageable for me. And I don't know why. I was just hard headed or ego or, I don't know why I didn't want to admit it, but I tried every way possible to still drink, to only drink on Fridays, to only drink after 4, to only use, to only smoke it, to only snort it, to only eat it.
I say the first step is the only step that you can't mess up.
Okay.
It's the only step. It's the only step that you have to do all the way.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Uh, because you have to admit to yourself that that's the first part of being honest with yourself. Is saying, look, man, uh, something's got to give.
Right. Well, this program Octoped in the big book, and I'm pretty sure I've not read the full NA book, but I know the first 167 pages of the big book gives a perfect example of all of that. It explains everything to a T, and they've been using that same exact method since the 30s, and it's worked.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll hear a lot of old timers talk about the first I think it's the first 164, 165 pages of the big book is what you really want to get sunk in first. And I'm guilty, I don't have it memorized or anything. I have read most of it. We in the meetings we do meetings where we'll read sections up, kind of like we do in NA.
Hmm.
But that book helps.
Well, it says in the promises, right,
Yeah,
that
promise.
if you work this program, uh, you will get better.
Yep.
That's
Yeah, no, and it's true. It's one. I mean, it has came true to me, and like I said, I wish I should have brought. Hey, you know what? Let me look here, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Look here. It's starting of the meeting, we read this thing called "How It Works,"
Yeah.
and in that,
NA said it has a how it works also.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it says before or it's or maybe in the promises. I think
I can pull up. I can pull up how it works. Um, there's there's an excellent app, and it's the Clean Time app. It's for NA. I'm sure the AA has one also, but it has all of the readings, and basically follows, what a meeting would be like. But um, how it works in NA. Oh, this has
why is it
it
promises?
has AA. It has AA readings too. But how it works, if you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. And that these are the principles that made our recovery possible. And then it goes over the 12 steps. So, but I like how it says, first of all, you got to want
Yeah.
it.
And that's the biggest and that's one of the hardest things. You gotta, and nobody can do it for you.
Yep.
Nobody can do it for you. But like I've heard, I don't mean to quote you, but you say a lot of good stuff, Ken. You say, I don't, you guys don't need me. Those meetings don't need me at all, but I need them.
Yep.
And that's so true.
It's amazing. So when I started going, for anybody, this might shock people, but I have a huge ego problem. And so my counselor also told me, she's like, Ken, overachieving is a form of manipulation. And I'm like, ooh, ouch, ouch. But I wanted to believe that I was smarter, that I was more intelligent. So I really, really started reading this stuff. And I wanted to know what the people who were telling me, I wanted to know what they knew. And one of the best things, my first sponsor, uh, he said, read the first chapter, give me a 1 page summary book report, and then read the second chapter, give me a 1 page summary book report. So the first chapter of NA is called I used I used to um let me let me not lie to you about it. Who is an addict? And um
Don't we read that in the beginning of the movie?
yeah, yeah, and it says we lived to use and used to live.
Yep.
So on who is an addict, I'll give you a summary of my report. It says I am that. And the Greek definition of addict is a debt slave. So these are words that go back thousands of years, an addict and addictus. Um, it's a person who has been bound as a slave to his creditor. Um, the Latin word addictus means to devote, sacrifice, sell out, betray, or abandon. And that's, I mean, I'm like, okay, yeah, I did all those things. And so, yeah, definitely I'm an addict. I sacrificed everything. I devoted my life to that shit, uh, you feel
Oh yeah, so many,
it?
so many years wasted this for
Yeah,
nothing,
yeah,
for nothing but your own self-indulgence.
yeah. For a few minutes of feel
Yeah,
good.
yeah. That's something else about this. It's you get high, you got to do more. Stay right with this. It's just an energy that gets put into you. I don't
Yeah.
I can't explain how good this feels. But if you try it, and that's what I want from people, especially I see newcomers coming in. I'm like, just keep coming back, man. Just make it took me a long time. Like I pay a lot more attention now when we read and stuff. It took me a long time. My sponsor, that's something he still, have you been reading it? No, I'm not bad about it, but I take in a little bit more, and the more and more I go, there's so much knowledge and there's so much literature out there.
Yeah.
That if you want to, it'll tell you anything you need to know about it. But it's just a matter of it's tough, man. It's a matter of it, but it comes down to just don't get high or drunk. Just keep coming back to these meetings. If you don't feel like coming to one, that's when you really I've heard that.
Yeah, yeah. If you have time every day, go to a meeting. If you don't have time every day, go to two. It's kind of like I had a yoga teacher tell me that one time. She was like, if you have time to do yoga, do a half hour a day. If you don't have time, you need to do an hour. But yeah. Uh, well, another part of this is all this fit when I started using to live. you know in the beginning we're using just to feel good, and whatever, but then towards the end you have to
You
use,
have to,
have to.
like with me, especially with the drinking. If I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah,
I couldn't anything unless I had booze rather than my veins. Just couldn't.
yeah.
And I think it's even worse for on the opiates. Not so much the stimulants, but that does a whole other nightmare to your brain.
Yeah.
Uh, but that was something else about like the fear of stopping. Like, man, how am I gonna deal with feeling like shit? But it don't last. I mean, it goes after you're done doing it. After the nightmare's over, you can look back, and it didn't take that long. Really.
Yeah.
It
did
wasn't so bad.
did you know anybody that was clean? Did you know anybody, anybody
I
that you
did.
hung out with, or?
I did. I had people the whole time. I had people, I had family members, and I had positive people around me. But after they saw that, they gave up on the positive people. I didn't. I was raised, I had a good life growing up. My parents weren't partiers or addicts or anything. My parents worked and did the best they could to bring me and my brother and sister up. I had pretty normal functioning, I was not a, I don't think I was like a preppy kid, but I wasn't like a bad kid. I got in a little bit of trouble here and there. And then towards the end of high school, right before got ready to go to Georgia, I was more known as the partier type. But even after that, I still had positive people around me trying to jam the shit down my throat, trying to say, why'd you do that? You dump, looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? Because I was given every opportunity, man. I was given every opportunity that everybody else had to have a good kick ass product. I was given more
Mhm.
opportunities for real. And I just shit on all that. And I see, and why we do that? No, we're taught from the time we're able to understand anything. Don't drink, don't use drugs. They're bad for you. They fuck shit up. And we do it anyway. That's something that still baffles me. Why the hell, you know, why don't we learn from other people's mistakes? I don't get it.
Um, I I've been thinking a lot about that because of the young people that I work with. Um, and I think working with these young people, man, it gives me a lot of insight and helps me look back into when I started using. And I think that it's crammed down our throats not to drink, not to use drugs. But what's not crammed down our throats is how to feel good in natural types of ways, what makes us feel good, how to be our own unique, authentic, natural selves. It's crammed down our throats to be like Bob and Jill and the person next to us, but we're never allowed to investigate our own unique, authentic self and what makes us happy.
Right. But I think that, and I'm not dissing on any parent or anything, but it's, where, what, how you're raised and the things that if like I've heard you say this, if you hang out with the winners, you're gonna be a winner.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like when we were kids, times are different. I mean, I see a lot of these younger guys that I could be their dad in the rooms, and you know this too. I mean, this younger generation of people are way different than we were when we were in our late teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
And it's different, and it's not ever going to be like it was. Our parents, it was different for them when they were, and I think now I remember how I used to look at people like my age when I was like my teens and 20s, be like, that old, whatever. And now I'm that old, and I look, and now I understand why the older people would, say the things and try to school us, but we
Yeah.
never listen. Um, but a lot of it has to do with, with the choices. It's all about the choices you make, and even if no matter how strict or whatever, however you're brought up, at the end of the day nobody's twisting your arm and nobody's in your head to make the decision. Even if you were raised in a crack house or whatever,
Mhm.
you don't. Nobody's twisting your arm and making you do that. So and we have teachers and people out there. Like your job, you deal with a lot of underprivileged kids and stuff like that. And I'm sure a lot of them. I guarantee you're a teacher. I've never seen you in action, but
I try to be.
I know
I
the
try
kind
to
of
be.
guy you are. I bet you the kids like you, and they probably look up to you. And you just gotta hope that what you give them, that what you can lead by example. Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah. Well, like you said, why don't we learn from people's examples and stuff like that? And I'm in a unique position. I'm in a really, oh man, I'm so grateful, and uh, it gives me chills and it makes me tear up and stuff that I can I can be real with them. I can keep it real with them. I got tattoos and I got clean. I quit drinking. I quit smoking. And so I'm believable when I talk to them,
Yeah.
and my kids, I feel like my deepest regret is not doing the best that I could. You know, I mean, I did good in some areas and shitty in other areas, but I just didn't do my best. Um, and so now I'm really trying to do my best, man.
I'll tell you what, I think everything happens for a reason. And like I've heard people say, and even I even think back and like, I wouldn't be the person that I am right now. I wouldn't change who I am right now for anything. But I also think about the consequences that had
Mhm.
to be paid and the people that had to suffer for me to be where I'm at. Have you ever seen that movie uh, with Jack Nicholson and Matt Damon where he said, you know how many people had to die for Jack? It's the
Uh,
one where he plays an undercover cop with
Jack Nicholson's in
Jack
that?
Nicholson. He plays the kingpin gangster guy. Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. The Departed.
Okay.
The Departed. But he says a line in there. He said, "You know how many people had to die for me to be me? You know how many people had to suffer? How many people I had to step on, shit on for me to be me?"
Yeah,
Not using that as an example, I guess kind of.
it makes sense though.
But I think back just like all the dark shit, it's just shitty things that happen, the jail visits and just the money pissed away, the tears shed over my dumb ass for me to be who I am today.
Man, that hits me hard, bro. That
Makes
hits
you
me
think,
hard.
it makes you think. But
Ah,
I mean, like I said, I believe in God, and I think God, He's given this, so to get the message out, and you know, maybe somebody else will watch this or come to some of our meetings and look at us and be like, hey man, maybe it is pretty good. Maybe it ain't so bad.
yeah. So this, I get so excited, I get giddy, right? And so, this is an excellent segue. This is an excellent segue to the second step. I believe in God too. It's not your average everyday biblical dogma, uh, crammed down your throat guy sitting on a planet somewhere with a white beard throwing lightning bolts at people. But I do believe uh, in a God consciousness. When two people come together and they're working on something together, God is there. But so step two is we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. You know? what so what's that mean to you?
Exactly what it says. And like it's taken time. I started going to church back when in February. I started going to church, and I try to attend every week. I've missed a couple Sundays, but like I went this morning. And so the thing about that is when you go in church, everybody. I mean, they sure you don't have, but like for where the one I go to, the ones I go to, I don't go there really to show. I go there to see people I know and stuff. But I go in there. I don't even really care too much for the music and singing and stuff. I want to go in and listen to the message, the lesson. It's like I'm sitting in a class for me, but I get so much out. I get a feeling in there. It's just, it's they say, well, they say what you have a spiritual awakening.
Yep.
I think I have those all the time, and I grow from 'em. I mean, I just grow like growing right now. I
Yeah.
always feel like I'm growing, and it's from, I don't know the Bible. I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not like out dancing around rattlesnakes or anything. But like I said, I believe in God. I believe that there is a power greater than myself, and it has restored my sanity. I think so much.
Yeah.
I don't, here's a good example. Like I used to love watching porn. I love staring at movies and naked ladies. Who
Hmm.
doesn't? I
Right.
don't do that anymore. I don't have the desire to do that anymore. I just want to be good. I don't cuss as much anymore. I mean, I know I've cussed a couple times on here, but even in meetings, I try not to, throw out f bombs every other word and stuff like that. It doesn't do nothing for it pollutes like the conversation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get off the subject, but the higher power thing with the uh for me, it has restored my sanity a lot. I'm not totally, I still got if you're not green and growing, you're ripe and rotting. And my higher power help I grow every single day. And like I said, when I'm in church, I go in there, I listen to my, the pastor, and every time I see him, I throw him a hug on my way out. Great lesson, and just the energy and the feeling you get from that is again priceless.
Yeah.
Priceless.
So much of that
I
has to
want that
do.
for everybody. I wish I could give
Oh,
that to everybody.
man, yeah. Yeah.
Just take it, and it's free.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not totally,
It's
but
not, it doesn't cost you money.
but
It just has some attention and
right,
being there,
right.
some
You got to
effort.
put some work in, but it's so worth it.
Yeah.
So freaking worth
Yeah. So I think that that's what is not discussed. That's what's not, was never discussed with me as a child, how worth it is to go and listen to the message, to go and try to.
it. Well, I think when we were younger, for me anyway, you'd have those people like you talk to preachers and stuff like that. But at that time, I'm like, get away from me now. I don't know. This is like that ain't no. What's fun about that? What's so fun about going to church and being good? I mean, I was always so worried. I wanted to get high and chase women, and I wanted to do be drinking and doing what I wanted to do. But now, like I don't look at going to church or going to meetings as a chore at all. I never really did. When I came back this time, when I did it before, when I used the program as a tool to stop drinking, I made it a chore then, but I didn't work steps then. I didn't have a sponsor then. I
Hmm.
wasn't as serious about it. I was 10 years younger too.
Right.
But this time, it's something that you can't really explain. I don't think it even with trying to beat it into somebody's head or try to tell them about it. It's not something that you can really explain. It's something that you got to try yourself and feel it for yourself. And it's an energy and just a big ball of stuff that I can't even explain, man. But
It's a
I want
spiritual,
for everybody to have it. Everybody that
yeah, it's a spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening is getting, it's getting high. I feel like that is getting high.
I get, and that's another thing. I get high. The feeling I have now is better than any buzz I've ever had from any drug.
Amen, brother.
It is, and it's nothing comparable. It's not total different ballgame.
Amen. But I also feel it when I wake up. When I was wanting to drink in the morning or whatever, I feel it now when I wake up.
Yep.
I feel it throughout the day. I can sit and meditate, or I can say a prayer, or I can do some yoga. Um, I, I was kind of buzzing, waiting on you to get here, to do this thing. This is this is my unique, authentic self. This is my purpose, what I'm supposed to be doing, and
No shame.
I don't need to get high.
No shame. You're proud. That's something that I'm proud of. I don't got nothing to hide. I'm
Yeah.
not hide. About nothing. I'm not gonna try to act like I'm something I'm not. Baby,
Yeah.
what you see is what you get. Either love me or you hate me. But I guarantee if you give me a chance, you'll love
Yeah. um, it's not describable. And
me.
so that's why I feel like this is this is God. You know, God is not describable, unexplainable, without name. And so that's why I feel like this is it. Um, this is the experience, the journey. And so it doesn't even matter the trophies or what we accomplish, the money we make.
Well, I like the coins and stuff like that. I'm in a competition myself, but yeah, I don't want patted on the back. I mean, I pat myself on the back. That's enough for me. It's cool having, that maybe having a label put on. Like people look at you, like you're the captain. To me, you're like
Yeah,
big shit.
yeah,
But for you, it wouldn't be. You would still. I mean, you would still do it if you weren't. I know you. I know. I think you would still be coming to the meet. You would still participate the same way.
yeah.
That I don't know that.
I know what you're saying. Um, without, let me see if I can, without the accolades, without the title, um, Well, I kind of am doing it. I still take phone calls and people are asking me questions. It what is getting what's getting me now is seeing other people become the captain, seeing other people become the leader, um, and the trusted person. I gave the keys to Pickle,
Right.
and he's like, "Thanks for the trust," you know.
True. Yeah,
Ah,
there's
man,
a group of us.
yeah,
You know, I'm gonna throw a bunch of names out there, but there's a group of us, and you hear about like there's not you don't hear about like consistency with especially in age. You see a lot more people come and go, but I feel like with our group, and I've said this before, I think we're a pretty tight knit. There's a little gang of us, and we all stick together pretty good.
yeah.
And like Pickman, he's a trooper. He's all about it. And if it's about being clean and doing the right thing, he's right there. There's a lot of us in there like that, and I just love surrounding myself with that. Dude.
I remember seeing Pickle out at the homeless shelter, man. He was living out of a van not very long ago. I'm trying to get him on here. We missed our last appointment, but he'll be a guest on here. But
That would be a good one.
yeah, yeah, I'm excited about
Yeah,
that.
I love that.
He's been through a lot. He's
Yeah,
been through some death and
yeah.
some real loss.
I've had some talks with him. Me and him kind of come from the same grant. He's always done pointed hardware stuff.
Yeah.
Used to be a mason. You know, Tony's another one. Me and Tony have known each other for a very long time, and he's another one that's has. I'm not trying to put people names out there by any means, but
He's wanting to come on too, so it's no big
yeah, I'm
deal.
surprised he hasn't been on here yet.
He's
He's a busy guy,
he's busy and he's getting to be a dad.
right? And you can see that joy. That's something else, man. When he talks about that with his family and just how much he gets charged up over seeing the newcomer come and seeing people grow. You know, he means everything he says. I love that, and that's how I try. He's a perfect. Like, he's a good example. And he sets a perfect example for people.
Yeah.
You know?
And well, and he fishes when he's not doing that, and he loves doing that. And so that's why, so that's part of the purpose for my podcast is to maybe help people see that if you could just find who you were supposed to be, or search for that person. Let go of um, all the distractions and let go of the temporary feel good and just take a little bit of time and figure out what you like, what you fear, what you like, all that stuff.
You still have to. I mean, you have at the end of the day, you have to have that commitment. It's not going to be easy. It's not.
Takes some effort. Takes
But
some
it's
effort.
not worth
And
it. The rewards are it's unexplainable, man.
I think we're beat down as young people and with TV and with the medical system as it is right now, everything's meant to be easy, or take a pill, or there's a cheat code, or
I agree with that.
this or that. And the secret is there isn't a secret.
Nobody goes outside.
Ah, man.
They don't, man. It's like that. They sit here and play on the phone.
Yeah.
Like you were, I've heard you say this too. There's gonna one of these days they're gonna have meetings, but they lock carry it around.
Cell phones are an
Yeah,
addiction.
big time.
So I'm creating a meeting for young people. It's a 12-step meeting for ages 12 to 22.
So
Well, it's not only for cell phones, but it's going to cover vaping. A lot of young people treat their boyfriend or girlfriend like drugs. That it makes their life unmanageable trying to be with that person or trying to be on the phone. Some kids sleep with their phone on FaceTime, and it's like, oh, you know. So yes, juvenile court and I are working together, and Connection West are working together on this 12-step meeting for young people, and I don't agree with a young person coming in and calling themselves an alcoholic or an addict just because of the negative connotations that it has.
right.
But they're going to come in and they're going to admit that they're powerless over their decision making.
What it's gonna be a lot harder to get the actual the kids, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot harder to get them into things than it was to even get us addicts into things for substance.
Well,
These things are, they're amongst us.
well, I'll tell you, the kids are looking too, man. The kids want to feel good too, and they're tired of somebody constantly telling them what to do, and they're looking for something to belong to also. They're looking for some fellowship, they're looking for something to believe in too. So juvenile court's going to help me get kids there.
So awesome. I never in a million years sitting and talking to you, and you do it. And I'm so happy. You're
It's a dream come true, brother. It's a real dream come true, but it's setting my path of moving forward, getting these steps uh, into the high schools and into the junior highs, and it being an actual course on personal development. That's really all these steps are, is personal development.
yeah, like these the principles or the whatever they're using the Freemasons use
Yep.
them. I heard
Yep.
the Freemasons use it a lot of like big, all your big and
Religion, Buddhism, Hindu, it's all the same spiritual principles. It's all the same. Um, it's just worded a little different, and it's trying to catch people where they're at. It's all the same. It's all the same God.
yeah,
It's all the same, be a good person shit, you know?
right. Well, I heard you say I'm not just saying I heard you say the term said, but I pay attention to what you say, man. You're like, you go to, I know you participate, you go to other kinds of meetings for like, you say you have one where you go and there's like doctors and
Yeah,
lawyers, business people there. So
yeah.
it's the same thing, but they just bitch about, doctor shit or lawyer or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Kiwanis,
Right.
and uh, there's a few different civic groups that I go to. There's also one, Fairfield County Family and Children First Council. Um, it's where all the schools, all the job and family services, lots of counseling centers, we all go, we all sit in a circle.
Right.
We all introduce ourselves, and then we all talk about the problem that we're dealing with and how we can all help solve that problem. And that's what I try to tell addicts, alcoholics, is that it's not a bad thing that you're admitting, or that you're here, or that we're here trying to work on a problem together. It's actually what most people are doing already.
Everybody has problems.
Oh man.
I try to, I learned, I think my dad might have told me this something on Facebook. You got to think before you're going to go take in your problems and lay them in somebody else's lap. You got to think everybody has negative shit they got to deal with. Everybody has problems. Everybody has something on their shoulders. So before you go laying all your stuff on somebody else, you got to think that they have the same, you know, everybody has problems. I don't care how perfect you think your life, how perfect you see something in somebody's life, like Donald Trump. Look at him. Could you imagine the stress or Elon Musk, the
Yeah.
stress that those guys have on their heads all the
Well, like when you say you're say you got a mechanical problem on your car that you don't know how to fix. You search it up on YouTube or something like that. Somebody's had that problem.
time? Right.
Somebody's fixed it. Somebody's walked you through it. And as a matter of fact, they know the other problems or issues that you might run into while you're fixing it.
Right.
Same thing,
There's
dude.
5 different ways.
Same thing when you go to church, same thing when you go to these meetings, same thing when you meet with another person. Um, it's likely that they've had the same problem or no. And I guess this kind of comes back to listening to somebody else is trying to help you.
In the, I think we say it at the end of the NA meeting. I know they say it at the end of AA meetings. Jerry Springer used to say it. Talk with each other, reason with each other.
Ah, yeah.
Every time I hear that in the meeting, it reminds me of Jerry Springer's song. Uh, but talking, going. I see it counseling. I go at least once a week to talk to a counselor, and
Yeah.
that's got let it out. There's people out there who get this.
I go to
There's
therapy.
a lot of shame, especially when you first come in. I know what's going to be lots of shame. I still very ashamed of a lot of it,
Mhm.
but talking to somebody and talking to a professional that you know they're getting paid good money
Yeah,
to figure it's so helpful. I believe I agree with therapy a lot.
me
Got-
too. Even the best counselors have counselors.
Yeah,
And I wanted to say something about the shame. Uh, Being ashamed of some things that we've done in the past, or I don't know what you know, all the things that you've done, but being ashamed of some things that I've done in the past, I feel like is okay. That's what drives me to get better.
right.
But being ashamed of being in these meetings and being a part of this fellowship should not be part of it. You should be proud that I feel like we're the evolution of humanity. Um, Not many people have sunken and seen the hell that we've seen
Made it through.
and made it through. And so also I feel like since we went to those depths, the things that we enjoy are probably so, oh my God, like heaven, so much more enjoyable. The taste, the smells, the sights. I remember when I got clean, it was probably maybe like my 90 days, between 90 days and 6 months, how beautiful the sky
Yeah.
started looking, and plants and the grass.
I'll be riding in the truck and I just sit there and I'll say it out loud. I talk to God. I
Hmm.
talk to my higher power and I talk to him just like I talk to you. I'll be like, man, thank you so much. I know I can get out and work in it or whatever, but man, just thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love my life. Life's good. Life's God is good.
Amen. Amen. My prayers went
I'm so grateful for everything.
when I was using, I was like, please, just please help me, please help me, please help me. And then once I made the decision, which actually is the third step, but once I made the decision to turn my will and my decisions over to the care of my higher power, my prayers went from please, please, please to thank you, thank you, thank you.
Promises come true. If you want what we have, you're willing to go to length to get it, it will happen. But you've got to make that decision, and nobody can make it for you.
Yeah. Well, so that's step three. That's step three. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand Him. So what's that? How's that hit you?
What it says, and it doesn't have to be action. It can be all of. It can be whatever. Whatever you realize that you cannot things that are out of your control. And I mean, some people don't believe in God. There's atheists. What's it?
Yeah.
Agnostic.
Agnostic. Yep.
That still are hardcore, diehard. You know,
Yeah.
anonymous programs, and it's like it comes down at the end of the day. It comes down to you and what you're willing to do to change the shit in your life. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty simple. But it's hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, ever. And it's something else. The damage is done. It's something else that's something that we have to accept. Damage is done. There's not a 10, 15-minute period of time in my life that goes by that I don't think about something that has to do with getting higher ground. This is, and that's something that I've learned to cope with. But these steps and the rooms and just the trying to fix it and listening to people and just going uh surrendering
Hmm.
and giving it to God. Everything I don't know. It's just like I said, it's not perfect yet, but it's getting. I'm so excited to see what my life is going to be like I just hope and I'm looking because the further away I get from last time I got down with it, the closer I am to my next one. It's
Yeah.
very true. We're walking on a tightrope. It takes one wrong step, be right back.
I feel like it's like a relationship. You got to keep working on
For
it.
sure. Yeah.
You got to keep working on it. If you're not working on recovery, you're working on a relapse.
It's my most important relationship, and
Yeah.
I voice that to anybody. You know, this is the most important thing in my life because I've been doing this. Everything else has fallen right into place. Everything is. It is.
Mhm.
Like I said, not right now, what we all want. You know, but the more I keep doing this, the better my life is so much more comfortable, so much more stress free, where I don't worry about stuff as much anymore. You know, it's like tonight. You know, I'm looking forward to going to my 6:30 meeting. I
Yeah.
can't wait.
I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go to
Man,
that. I'm gonna go. I haven't been all week. I've been trying to let them settle in
yeah, it's
to
great.
their new roles, to the new positions that got voted in, and I feel like I distract from that a little bit. But I'm gonna go tonight. Tonight's Brian's meeting is
Yeah,
a sponsor, and so I'm gonna go.
I like that.
He's super cool. I didn't like Brian at first. I didn't like him at first. Like, I thought he was kind of an arrogant asshole. So we were probably a little too much alike. And my first sponsor and we had to break up. Didn't quite work out. And so, but I knew that people who had a sponsor and were actively working the steps were a lot less likely to relapse. And so I,
So
I
hard. It is. It's hard. It's really you just gotta keep trying.
yeah,
Don't give up. I mean, listen to what people have been there for years. Just take their suggestions.
there's it, that temporary feel good is nowhere worth the long term feel goods I have now, and the success and the stuff that I have now. The kids, I just got a Christmas card from one of my kids, one of my students, and I always have my students write thank you cards when they come into my class. I'm like, you can't just come in here and hang out, you write a thank you card, get grateful. And I usually tell them not to write them to me, but she brought me in this card, and it said, uh, 2 days ago when I was in here, you didn't know it, but I was having such a bad day. And you made me laugh and showed me a couple videos, and it really turned my day around. And
I can only imagine how that made you feel.
oh my God, talk about it, melts me. I see.
And it's that kind of stuff that helps you stay away.
Yeah,
It does.
yeah.
Fuck that. I did not need this is what I
Hopefully that's what this podcast does too. I mean, have it.
so much stuff that I wanted that I could sit. There's so much stuff that we have to share with this with people, especially with like I don't throw it at people's lap. I
Mhm,
try not to like custom stuff. I try not to let people know, hey, I wear my shirts and stuff.
mhm.
And if somebody asks, I'll tell them, but it's not really something I try to throw out there. But when somebody wants to talk about it and seriously talk about it, I spread that.
Well, I can tell you this. I think probably over 500 views. I broke your video up into two or three sections, and you have over 500 views and like 60 hours of watch time. So that's
Good deal. You have no big deal. My dad would be so proud of me. My mom and dad would. Dude,
have they seen it?
I don't know if he's watched it or not. I told him about it.
Oh man, you gotta have them
I
see
told him
it,
about it.
dude.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Well,
My dad.
that's 500. That's 500 people, dude, that searched your message, and so yeah, even in the Bible it says, people who are ready to see will see. People who are ready to hear will hear. And that's one of the great things about the internet. That's
Yeah,
one of the bonuses of the internet. If there's something you want to search for, you can
yeah,
find it.
sure can.
I think that life is an algorithm. Life is the ultimate algorithm. What you search for, you'll find.
I'm starting to think that these things can read your damn mind.
Well, they learn you.
I know they do. I know, and I know. I mean, and I've been noticing that over the past year. You know, this thing's on all the time. I'm sure there's ways you can turn it off or whatever, but like I said, this thing right here. There's so much, there's just as much negative about it as there is good.
Yep.
There is, and what you do with this thing, you know, it can be the greatest tool. It's such a kick-ass tool.
It's a tool.
Anything
It's
in
a
the
tool. That's all there is to it.
and
You can take a hammer and build a house, or you can bash somebody's head in with it.
right, that's a good one.
It's a tool. Same with money. Same with money. You can spend it and really help people with some energy, but the internet and these phones are the same thing, man. Uh,
I'm wondering here, I've been watching some stuff on YouTube. Before it's all said and done, they'll be banned. They said,
Phones?
yeah. Well, the way you'll still have. I think we'll always, they're never going to take our way of accessing information away, but they're going to start. They're going because now they've been around long enough to where they can get some numbers on, to see like the long term stuff from these, and we're going to see. I feel like what in the next 20, 30 years, this is just from stuff I've watched,
Hmm.
people way smarter than me. Uh, they'll be regulated as to like where you can use them. I don't think I think if that law about looking at these things while you're riding down the road, I think that they should strip that. I think that they should put a thing in there that when you're getting your car, it like shuts it off or whatever.
If
Like
you're
it does with your
moving,
truck.
it knows if you're moving fast.
Right.
Like if you're moving faster than 5 miles an hour or something, it should shut
If
it
I
down.
look at like these newer vehicles in my truck, if when I get in there, my phone goes right to that, and I have voice. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. That's so,
Well, no, it's not. It's if you think about it, all drugs, heroin was created to help people. It was created, and then people just took it and ran with it. Methamphetamines was cooked up to help soldiers
yeah. Oh
stay
yeah.
awake.
It was a ration to the SS soldiers.
Yeah.
They rationed they gave them their damn MRIs,
Yep. And so
their MREs, whatever they're called.
all these things that are outlawed now are only outlawed because somebody took it too far,
Right.
or somebody died with it or killed herself on it or whatever.
We have
It's like,
we have all these these scientists out here, and they're producing. There's always gonna be something evil. I believe there's yin and yang. There's
mhm.
always gonna be evil. So there's always gonna be some asshole out there that's gonna take something, make it into something that's gonna cause chaos and shit. That sucks. So that's what we gotta fight. That's what we gotta.
That's the paradox of life. There has to be evil for there to be good. There has to be light for there to be dark. Um, so I was meditating the other day on, we look around this room and we know what everything in this room is for. Even down to the screws in this microphone, this cup, uh, the ink pens, the computer. I know what all that's for. Yeah, the carpet, the heaters, But I sit here and I look at myself in the mirror, or I look at you, and I don't know what that's for. Like it's got to be for something. I went as far as to look up the purpose of mosquitoes. Because I'm like
Everything
every living thing has a purpose.
finds its way out.
Yep. Or nature gets rid of
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah.
And so mosquitoes spread pollen just like honeybees. I didn't know that. And they also are responsible for the migration of big herds of animals because they'll get to biting on the animals, and the herds will run into the wind
To get away from.
to get away from them, and it causes huge migrations of animals around the planet. And so um, I got to thinking that, other people is how I can see God. I look at you and I see all the nuts and bolts and electricity and lights and darks and goods and bads of the universe. you know, and uh, looking at naked women and boobies and stuff like that. It's freaking beautiful, dude. You know, looking at trying to figure people out and uh, seeing myself in people and seeing people win is
That's a real good one.
ah
Seeing
man.
somebody do the, seeing somebody, see the look on their face. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, man.
yep. Even people you don't know, even seeing people on TV.
So a
When,
real friend will, will when you're having a problem, a real friend will help you, will deal with your problem with you, and
yeah,
won't try to they'll try to help you out of your problem. When you're doing good, they won't be jealous of you. They'll be happy for you doing well.
yeah.
I heard that too. I hear, that's another cool thing about like Facebook or internet. Yeah, I hear so much good stuff. There's so many brilliant people out there. So many good people doing so much stuff, man.
Well, when I was using the my phone always showed me death, destruction, uh, um, dirty behind the scenes shit that made you paranoid and scared of
Right?
life and living. But now that I'm clean and that's what I'm searching, that's what I mean by life is the ultimate algorithm. But now that I'm clean, it shows me the good in life,
Right.
good that things are happening and
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, it's amazing, man. Um,
I think like stuff like how you have this up here, like health, wellness, love, integrity, respect, gratitude, creativity, honesty. You look at, every time I see the words there, that kind of stuff, sinks in for you. It sinks into you, and it helps you keep that positive, just
Positive vibe, brother. I come in here and I meditate a lot. Um, and I try to think about I play it out in my head. I think about you doing great things, and I think about people in my circle doing great things, and I think about how I can help promote that. And I feel like that's the whole reason for personal development, health, and wellness. The core values are I try to live by those every day.
me too, me too.
Yeah.
A lot better than it was, man. And so much has changed since last time I was on here. I wanted,
Go ahead.
I could go here.
Do you? Okay.
Uh, but I just wanted to thank you for having me on here. I want to thank you for everything you've helped me with, Ken. You, like all the other, everybody who ever watches this, if you know me, thank you so much for helping me become the person that I am now, man. I'm so grateful. I'm just gonna keep going, keep doing what I'm doing, keep digging.
It's up. It's up from here, brother.
I
It's
know,
up from
I
here,
know.
man.
So far, so good.
Uh, that's where we'll end it. Then we went through the first uh, three steps, um, and we'll get back to it. Love, integrity, respect, honesty, creativity, and gratitude. How can we leave out gratitude? I love you, brother. Thank you for being here and keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks for watching.
Real talk. 11:11. Thank you.